We're PrestoKey, and we're going to talk about a movie today. I know what you're thinking, but I'm not in the clan. This is Rorschach Mask that I made all the way back in 2009. Because the movie we're going to be talking about today is Zack Snyder's 2009 movie, Watchmen.
God help us all.
Will look up and shout, "Save us." And I'll whisper, "No."
This is my copy of Watchmen that I've had since about, I guess, like 2008. I was about halfway through it when the trailer came out, and it was something I'd never experienced before. I was absolutely obsessed with the trailer. I watched it multiple times every day up until the release of the movie on
sometime in 2009.
No, it was March 6th, 2009.
Well,
I was a freshman in high school, so this makes it like even more embarrassing. Me and Damon went to the premiere of the movie, and I was dressed as Rorschach. And I was so utterly and completely disappointed by the film, I cried. I cried through my Rorschach mask. That's why it has water damage. It was a simpler time, a more innocent time, where I had high expectations for movies. I think now we can look back more clearly without the bias of a young man's brain being obsessed with a silly comic book.
do you remember why you were so disappointed?
Because I was very naive, and I expected something on par with the graphic novel.
Yeah.
Yes.
And like we were talking about, it's visually very similar, but the message is very different.
We didn't talk about that yet.
Not on camera, but
Right.
in
Yeah.
real life we did.
In real life, we've talked about it. When it comes to the art of this book, is some next level shit.
Yeah.
Every single panel is a goddamn work of art, and in that respect, Zack Snyder pulled off some pretty impressive visuals that match up with the panels and the pages of the
A
book.
lot of attention to detail, and even like cameos by characters that don't make big appearances, you know.
Right. Yeah, but he
Fucked it up!
He fucked it up.
Fucked it up!
Everything that makes Watchmen, the whole message of this book was completely lost in translation with this absolute nincompoop of a filmmaker. We're not going to go into the later career of Zachary Snyder, because that would be an entire video in itself. We're just going to talk about Watchmen, the movie, and things surrounding it. You start to wonder why certain things from the book made the cut and others didn't, because there will be some things where it seems completely unnecessary to have that carry over into the movie, and then things that were completely cut out, like the entire monologue from Ozymandias at the end, that is, in my opinion, one of the most crucial parts of the entire story, and is just not in the movie. That part also really upset me when I was a little boy.
Yeah.
When I was a baby boy. I was just a little baby.
We should mention, basically this movie is been known to be impossible to, because in its nature it's a graphic novel, that's what it's about. So like making a movie, you know, it's really hard to capture that. I'm sure that was a challenge, you know.
And that's what...
And even Alan Moore said it shouldn't be a movie.
Right. It should never be a movie, and He hates the fact that his comics have been made into movies, and as far as I know, he has never seen a single one of them.
No.
Maybe not because he's boycotting his creations being turned into a movie, but just not wanting to see a movie that he thinks looks like shit. You really can't blame the guy. And he's also a wizard. He has magical powers.
He literally is, yeah.
He's a literal wizard.
He is.
Weird fucking dude. One thing that was done really well in the movie was the cast. Most of the cast. Jackie Earle Haley playing Rorschach was really smart. It was really good.
Yeah, that was smart.
He did a really good job.
The comedian.
The comedian, played by not Javier Bardem.
Yeah.
That guy that looks a lot like Javier Bardem. The guy, his name was like Michael Good.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember that because I went to high school with a guy named Michael Good. Yeah, he was good as Ozymandias, but what was with the nipples, that didn't even fit in Joel Schumacher's Batman movies, and those were going for like super campy.
He did have them in the comic, right?
No, he didn't have nipples in the comic book, no. Some really weird music choices that I felt really didn't fit in a Watchmen movie. The one, I don't even remember if it's in the movie or not, but like it was in the trailer. The beginning is the end, or the beginning of the end by the Smashing Pumpkins, which I listened to multiple times a day, every day, until the movie came out, and I just associated that with Watchmen, and I still do. But like Hallelujah playing during the sex scene in Night Owl's spaceship. Like All Along the Watchtower and by Jimi Hendrix, and like Times There Are Changin' by Bob Dylan. I get that, like, it fits in the time period, but I never thought that it fit in the movie. This movie was in production hell. It had gone through many different hands, including, I know Paul Greengrass was one of them. He wanted to make Watchmen. Mm-hmm. And Terry Gilliam.
Yeah, Terry Gilliam
wanted to make it at one point, and I think he wanted Robin Williams to play Rorschach. We dodged a bullet on that one, and it finally ended up in the hands of Mr. Zachary Snyder, the voice of our generation, visionary genius behind such films as
Sucker Punch
and the one about the owls.
Yeah.
He's so shitty. Something that I really wanted to talk about was this new series for HBO, be written by Damon Lindelof, the ever elusive writer behind Lost and Cloverfield and everybody's least favorite sci-fi movies.
He also did The Leftovers.
The Leftovers, yeah. I like that show.
Yeah.
Nobody else does. But I like that show. Damien, I thought we would talk about some predictions, since we are very familiar with Damon Lindelof. Mm-hmm. We might not have any clue what he's going to do, but we know what he's done in the past, mm-hmm. and make some semi-educated guesses as to what we might see in the future.
It's going to be very spiritual and metaphorical.
Oh yeah. I just read an article before we did this, and he was talking about, we live in dangerous times, we need more dangerous TV shows. Mm-hmm. And he was talking about how I love the Marvel movies, and I just saw Justice League, and I love Wonder Woman and Batman, I grew up with them, but we need to stop trusting superheroes. Anyone who puts on a mask and says that he's looking out for us can't be trusted. It's like, does this guy know that Batman's not real? Like, dude, he's fake. He's fake. He doesn't exist. What are you talking about? I know he knows that, but I was reading that article and it just stood out to me.
Hopefully, Dr. Manhattan still has a schlong, like in the movie.
Well, it's HBO.
That's true,
Little dingers.
People want to see peckers.
Dingers of all sizes.
Yep.
Welcome. My main question is, what's it going to be about?
Mm-hmm.
Is it going to be this story? I I don't know if I'm okay with that. Is it still going to be working up to the reveal of who killed the comedian? Because, like, doesn't everybody know that now? Is it going to be about 1975, the date that they keep bringing up is the golden age of superheroes? Superheroes were not outlawed until Dr. Manhattan came along, and maybe that's when the show would stop. Dr. Manhattan comes along.
I think it'll be different from the book.
I don't know what Alan Moore has said about this show, but when he said this about the new series that came out a couple years ago, the new comics that were about each individual character, either before or after the events of Watchmen, he said, if you read these comic books, you are no longer a fan of mine.
Well,
if Damon Lindelof's series has to do with anything besides the events of this book, you may no longer be an Alan Moore fan if you watch it. So tread lightly, clear your history, lest Alan Moore break into your house and demand an explanation, or just. You don't, like, there's no escape. There's no escape. You can delete your history. You can run, but you can't hide. He'll get into your mind with his powers, and he'll know that, you know, that you are, it's like you're out of the fan club, you know. I read one of those comics of the new series. I guess I'm out, you know.
Yeah, you're out, sorry.
I'm out. So it's a kind of a good thing for this review, because it's a completely unbiased opinion about Watchmen, because I'm not even a fan. Yeah. See ya.
Action. This fucked everything up.
Why are you still here? It's over.